Now, let's kick off our conversation with you, Ramona, in studio. You obviously have this initiative that speaks to young women about sanitary pads, but you kind of like put a flip on it. Just tell us a bit briefly about what the Mimi Women Initiative is about.
So I originally started off as a media personality in TV and radio, and I was emceeing a few events in KZN for the premiere. And I'd written my honours thesis on the way women see themselves in menstruation, because I'm a feminist and I'm a rural farm girl, so I come from Inanda in KZN. So I knew my own challenges as a girl. At 23, no one spoke about this issue. It was a taboo. And I remember as a DJ at the time, everyone was saying, I mean, KZN has a high rate of teenage pregnancy. And I remember thinking, like, why is no one explaining how pregnancy happens? It's not that there's a lack of sexual education. No one's teaching girls that my period and pads and pregnancy all work together. So it was a very brave move. I resigned from media, and I resigned from my corporate job as a marketing manager, and I started this foundation. I just wanted to go into grassroots South Africa to teach girls honest information and also break the taboo on menstruation at the same time. If you asked me if I knew where I'd be 3 years later, national supply, supporting girls all over, I wouldn't have believed it. But we are the only locally produced company backed by the IDC, and yeah, it's industrialism at its best, creating jobs. And the flip that you're talking about is that there's 3 business streams. I was studying social entrepreneurship at the Gordon Institute of Business Science, and I came up with a campaign called Pads and Cents, where foundations only get donated on certain months related to girl child.
Okay.
And we were struggling as a business to pay other people. And what had happened there was I wanted to women are guilty of financial literacy, and I wanted to teach them.
So it's pads and sets. Okay, so we'll get into that, because that's where, of course, she comes in. But let's bring in the MEC on Skype, who's joining us for a conversation this morning, the HOD rather. Dr. Mzama, the Department of Education in KZN recently just supported this initiative of supporting young women in schools. Why did you guys take this decision?
We have close to, thank you very much for the question. We have close to 1.9 girl learners enrolled in grades 4 to 12. And we have noticed that, or observed that every now and then girl learners are not at school. They are absent, especially at the time when they have to get into the cycle. As a result, that continuous absence affects teaching and learning. And we then took a decision as a department that we need to support girl learners and make sure that we target specific areas in the province, especially learners that are coming from disadvantaged communities where parents are not being able to provide. As a result, that decision was endorsed, and we are on board now supporting learners. We started at a small scale, targeting about 520 girl learners in the province in a group of schools called Quintile 1 to 4. And we launched the project in November last year. It was a great success, and sponsors also came on board. And we then decided that in January we are going to duplicate and make sure that the number is increased. And then we were able to increase it from 520 to 820,000 girl learners, and those sanitary towels have been supplied to all those schools, about 2.2 thousand schools, between January and February, to make sure that one, we prevent continuous absence from school, which is something which affects teaching and learning and the quality of teaching. Because if half of the class is not there, obviously the teacher will struggle in terms of sort of managing quality teaching and learning. So that's the reason why we decided to budget and provide for these learners, because it's a serious problem in the system.
And now let's talk to you, Kwanele. You know, as you're a young woman, you're a beneficiary of this initiative, and you're seeing how young women like yourself, you know, who might have been in school and now you're in the incubation program. How do you think the intervention of the department will help those rural girls?
It will help because there are so many rural girls who cannot afford sanitary pads. So if there's the government helping them, that would make their lives easier and they will not miss school.
What are some of the challenges do you think they're facing? what are the experiences that you've realized that these are what they're facing?
They're facing so many challenges: not going to school, not having money to buy sanitary pads, and embarrassment in the school. Maybe something happens in school, embarrassment, and it won't easily go away from other learners. Yeah.
Okay, so Ramona, the MEC in KZN, this is what they're doing. This is a community that you are also speaking to, really rural and highly affected. You manufacturing these pads locally. A question of like sanitation and hygiene also speaks to that. I know you're bringing in a pads and sense conversation. What is the significance of talking about that, especially in rural settings when it comes to sanitation?
I think the basic thing that we, first of all, we do menstrual roadshow workshops. Yesterday I was in Bloemfontein in the Free State from Sunday. And there's a huge difference between peri-urban and rural girls.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the simplest things, Penny, like how do I keep myself clean? It's young girl wellness that's ignored. How I need to wash myself properly, and I need to be more confident at the way I smell. One of the biggest issues we face as a team is when girls actually beg us to talk about girls who smell.
Body odors.
Body odors, and because girls don't have that opportunity to have that open conversation. You know, as certain communities, especially like Indian and Black, we don't want to talk about taboos about certain things. Sex, menstruation, body odor, how to be a girl. Things like body parts are ignored. And with us, our business is very simple because we're completely visual. So we go in with banners and proper pictures of how the uterus works, how my period works, how the days works. And we do it in bilingual methods, so you completely understand.
In the language that speaks
yeah,
to
so
okay.
Free State was Sotho and KZN is isiZulu, and that's how we do it.
Thanks very much for talking to us. We're going to have to leave it at that, and all the best with this initiative, Ramona, as well as Cornelia. And we've been speaking to Ramona Kasavan on Skype. We had the KZN MEC for Education joining us on the line on that conversation. And I'm sure you've seen all the details on screen of how you can be part of supporting the different initiatives. And for more information on Mimi, you can go to their Twitter pages. Their website as well is mimiwomen.com. Stay with us. Maka Chase is standing by to bring us the latest stories making headlines.